Where are we?
Well, you know, conceptually, Terry, it's interesting. Something seems to have changed.
Good.
I can kind of jump in and out of the space that I imagine is me.
Good.
In my being.
Yep.
And strangely enough, it's harder in the morning when you've just woken up. But as the day goes on, you can position yourself either there or as a personality.
Right. So you're able to, per se, step out of the me, or
no, I see it more as stepping into
it. Right.
The real.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Right. And what's it like before the stepping in?
As usual, there's a person here doing things.
Right.
And then
the person stepping into the person.
No, but you understand it's all a concept. It's not real.
Of course, yeah.
Okay.
I just want to be clear. I understand what you're saying. That's all.
Well, no, there's just a difference in vantage point.
Right.
So there's a placement more inside, so that this is. See, I know this is not right, but I mean, I can't fully tell you because I can't fully get there, and it's not usually an effort or anything like that. I don't mean that. It's just sometimes you can do it or it happens, and sometimes it doesn't. The vantage point changes.
From what to what?
Yeah, I'm thinking that it's probably something that is easy on my own because there isn't a pull for interaction or anything like that. It's a change in position of perception. So what if I can maybe just talk about what it brings up for me rather than what it does itself, is that it makes me wonder about the things that happen around this space, because if this space is just an empty thing where talking happens, which it sometimes appears to be, there's a lot of things that occur, like events and everything like that. It seems like the events are God and not this space, because the space doesn't do anything, but events do and push you around and all the rest. So, you know, that although I can see that the events are part of the space, actually, they also seem to be the ones that have the power, not the space. Do you understand that?
I do.
So that I know that's completely wrong as to, you know, the theory of it. So what's that about?
Why do you say that's wrong?
Well, because who we really are is quiet and empty, but it seems to be separate from the events. And yet the events are clearly not separate from it. But the empty quiet has no control of the events. And so the events seem to have the upper hand.
This is nice where you are. Okay. Did I hear you mention the word God a moment ago?
Yeah.
Can you explain that to me again?
Well, I think I'm really only looking at it in terms of power.
Right. And I think what you're saying is that the power is demonstrated in the event. Is that right? No, talk to me again. Sorry, I want to be clear.
Yeah. Yeah, the power is demonstrated in the event. It's the unfolding of the events which are completely apparently out of control, out of the control of the emptiness. And yet they're intrinsic to the emptiness. Events are intrinsic to the emptiness, but it's what those events actually are that seem to be controlled by some other force other than the emptiness, even if it's just the events themselves that have the power. Do you know?
Yeah. Hold on. Good. What's an event?
Anything at all that happens.
Right.
But let's say, you know, bigger ones like my car doesn't start. It hasn't happened, but my car doesn't start. So that is apparently completely outside the quiet emptiness that I experience as myself. And yet I do understand it's not, because it's coming from that quiet emptiness. But if that quiet emptiness was God, who we are, then how come the car starting isn't something that seems to be an event separate, that somehow you could even say karma or something, some extrinsic thing that's going on that's controlling everything that's happening in the world. It has nothing to do with who I experience as myself, which is the quiet emptiness.
And of the event, is the perception or the understanding or the idea of the event correct?
Correct to whom?
Exactly. See, to make the statement that the event seems to be separate and somehow is governed by some other force, if you like, other than just the empty still, because the empty still, you know, now that would be understood that way if we take the position that the event itself is actually real.
Yes.
Yeah. If the event itself is actually real. Yeah? Now, what is it? You know, the only. Gee, there's a great video I want you to watch, Liz. Anyway, can you remind me before we finish today? Yeah, yeah. The only instrument we have, Lizzie, to determine anything, whether there is an event, whether there's not an event, whether an event is real, whether an event is not real, is thought. It's only thoughts.
The only instrument is what that is available to us.
Is mind or thoughts.
Thoughts.
Yep.
Yes.
Only that. That's the only instrument we have available to us.
To interpret an event.
Yeah. Yeah. Or even to say an event is real or not real, is true or not true, is imagined or real, not imagined. It's all, see, and then you look at the mind and you look at the way the mind works, Lizzie. It's so limited. I mean, it's profound, it's beautiful, but it's so extraordinarily limited as to what it can know, as to what we can know, you know. But, you know, if you break it down, if you really, really look at the mechanics of it, and I'm talking about looking at the mechanics of seeming reality, the mechanics of seeming reality. Yeah. See, if you we can acknowledge that there are 6 senses, all right? Seeing, hearing, tasting, touching, smelling, thinking. There are your 6 senses. Okay. Now, if you removed any one of those senses, you'd still get by. If all of a sudden sight was taken from you, you could still hear, taste, touch, smell, yeah. Thinking could still happen, yeah. If you remove any one of the senses, you'd still get by, okay. Now, what happens though if we remove the sixth sense? What is the experience then? See, if we remove seeing, we would be able to say there's absence of seeing. True?
Yes. Yeah.
I can't see. Yeah, I can hear, but I can't see.
The mind is saying that, yeah.
Yeah. Now,
dominant. Yeah.
Now, if we remove the sixth sense, all thinking, now what's the experience? Just pause for a second. What's the experience now?
Close to dementia, really.
Well, we don't even know what that is. We don't know.
There's no interpretation, and it seems to be that this thinking grabs the experiences of the other senses and does something internally.
Yes.
And then expresses a view upon that as if it had happened externally.
Correct, and that's not the actual case.
Yeah,
that's exactly right. That's how the illusion is set up.
Yes.
That's how we become deluded also.
Yes.
Yeah.
I got that from your teaching, Terry, that the limitation of the mind.
Yeah. So
inside job.
Yeah. What I'm trying to get you to do, Lizzie, is I'm trying to get you to experience, if you haven't worked it out by now, I'm sure you have, but I'm constantly trying to get you to experience what it's like with no mind, no sixth sense, without the mind stepping in and saying, oh, that wouldn't be very nice, or that would be dementia, or that would be, yeah? Because the reality is, until it is actually experienced, until the no mind state is experienced, we have no clue what that would actually be like. No clue. Yeah. When it is experienced, to then try and use mind to then express what no mind is like becomes absurd. It's like you can't really do it. Yeah.
Yes.
So then it's a matter of, okay, do I take the leap? Do I just trust? Because a lot of us are scared to let go at this point.
Well, yes, exactly, Terry. And that's why I think, I'm a flawed student, because I'm totally not going to be able to take any leap.
Well, I know, but see, even the leap, there's not a leap to be taken. All I need you to do is have the willingness just to sit here with me right now and literally ponder no mind. Now you don't, hold on.
Yes.
Hold on. You don't need mind to ponder it.
No.
You literally don't.
Yeah.
And just, it's like, just be still. I promise you won't die. I promise you won't disappear. But in that stillness, Lizzie, something else is revealed. When the mind stops projecting onto consciousness or within consciousness, a seeming person and the seeming world, and when that just pauses just for a moment, Liz, it only needs to pause for a moment. When that absolutely just stops and pauses, something else is revealed. You have, see, you're at that point, Lizzie, where you don't know what to do. You have a well enough understanding of this understanding, because it is an understanding. Okay? You have a well enough understanding of this understanding, to find yourself kind of in a position of not knowing what direction to go in or what to do or what to think or what to believe, or you just kind of and you're stuck there. Is that fair?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Okay. So if we can use the other senses that are available to us and have us see that thinking is also just another sense, a sixth sense, yeah, and go and run through the process of, okay, what would it be like if I couldn't see? Experience that. What would it be like if I couldn't hear? That's more difficult to experience, to find a place where there's no sound. I'm talking about external sound, yeah, not internal sound. Taste, eliminate taste. Eliminate touch, that's a difficult one as well, to fully eliminate touch. Eliminate parts of it in our body, but we still experience numbness. That's also an experience. That's still related to touch, numb, yeah. If you can go through the process of just sitting really still, just sitting still, and one by one, just taking a sense, I'm going to call it porthole, just remove one and fully experience that. Then pop it back and remove another, then pop it back, then remove another, then pop it back, and then remove the thought sense, the thinking sense. Treat it as an exercise, treat it as an experiment, if you like. Yeah? Just want to experience what it's like just for a moment where there's no thoughts. What is that experience like? See, we're not killing anybody off there. We're not killing an ego. We're not killing a person. None of that stuff is going on. All we're literally trying to do is try and arrive in a place where we're able to, just for a moment, experience no thoughts. And what would that be like? Even if you've got to use part of your own imagination to get there initially, what it might be like to experience zero thoughts, and what the livingness of that would be like, the embodiment of that would be like.
It seems like experiencing no thought is possible, of course, but to actually experience no vantage point, which I suppose is in itself a thought.
It is, darling. That's my point.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, that it's difficult to.
Yes, good. No, good. See, the vantage point is a thought.
Yes.
There's actually no actual vantage point.
It's actually a position somehow, isn't it?
Yeah, but yes, but it's not real. It's created by thought. It's created by mind.
You see, that vantage point, which would then become more visible if you tried to get rid of thought, that vantage point, I don't know, I don't mean to digress when I'm saying this. I'm trying to work out what a vantage point is. Like when you have my beliefs, my set of all my beliefs, I presume have vantage points because I can get rid of the belief, apparently. But it'll come back like a weed because the vantage point is still.
Yes.
Yeah.
Good. Now I'll tell you what's happening right there. The vantage point, the actual vantage point, is consciousness. But our whole life, we've been taking the vantage point to be me.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I would say that's definitely the case.
Yeah. Now we just need to see that's not the case. The me can't take a vantage point. There's something else there that has already occupied that vantage point, that is aware of thoughts, the mind, the me, feeling, the sky, the clouds, the everything. And that vantage point is awareness, is pure consciousness, purely aware, without mind stepping in and just narrating a story about what's being seen, what's being experienced. Just the mind, it just narrates a story, including me is here, there's a me here. Now, there is a here. It's just not occupied by me. It's just a pattern of thoughts. That's all. Yeah. And until we can experience this position, I'm going to call it position, I shouldn't, but until we can experience this position of no thoughts, fully experience that. Yeah. It will continue to be assumed that this that's taking the position is the me. Yeah. Now, the me is not conscious. It's not aware. It's deaf, dumb, and blind. It can't see. Yeah. So there's seeing happening right now. And there's not an entity behind it. There's just seeing. Yeah. And behind the seeing is just still. The seeing doesn't discriminate. The seeing doesn't say anything. Seeing doesn't care. Doesn't not care either. There's no duality in the seeing. So behind the seeing is non-dual. It's just still. And all there is beautiful seeing.